So explaining what's on your screen, the plankton that are currently consuming these microplastics are not hunting out plastics. Plankton eats as well, and what the plankton eats, those little microbes attach to the plastic like a nice floating hotel. The plankton then sees the plastic, and it's like a buffet. They're all right here, and they swallow the plastic, and then that starts moving up the food chain.
It's in their digestive system. And devein your shrimp, by the way, because shrimp are full of microplastics.
Well, they're filter feeders.
Yeah, they are. They're bottom feeders. They're filter feeders. Catfish, can you imagine? Full of microplastics. So definitely you must clean them.
So, Jim, what are the ramifications of people consuming microplastics? I know some of the studies are still out, but they have a pretty good guess as to how plastic does affect us.
Yeah, there are. They can't conclusively say because it's such a new field and they don't have any long-term studies, but they can pretty much give you a general idea that every bite of food you take and every sip of water, you're almost certainly taking in microplastics.
In the air you breathe.
In the air you breathe. So we're becoming microplastic hosts. Yes. It's what we are. And the way they believe it's affecting us and will affect us much more greatly are the chemicals linked to these plastic and the effects in creating health problems such as reproductive harm, adding to obesity, organ problems, and developmental delays in children. That's just scratching the surface. We have no idea what it's really going to do to our bodies. I really think most of it leads back when we harm our bodies, when we overeat, when we don't exercise. It's our immune system that gets destroyed and our ability to fight disease and illness, as we've seen with COVID-19.
Yeah. If it's fighting that, it's not fighting something else.
Yes.
If you're eating plastic, that's definitely a foreign object.
Well, and there's a scientific study, and they now found that every day, 1 in 5 of your cells develop cancer, but your body fights it off. So think about that.
And if it's busy fighting all the microplastics,
you don't have much of a chance, or you stay in just diminished health. And so the next thing that comes along, you get sick and you get sicker. So it's a terrifying thing when you really think about the amount of plastic already out there, the population growth we have and are having, and how much more plastic's going to enter the environment. And people say, well, we're recycling. There's been 8 billion tons of plastic produced since 1950 and less than 10% recycled. So recycling's not the problem of, oh man, that's going to fix the problem, because it's such a small amount. Now, if you do it at home, you think everybody's doing it. Most people aren't doing it. And then even the collection of the recycling. You got the tire dust from the trucks. You got the fuel it's burning. You got the carbon footprint, as we say.
Well, a lot of cities are shutting down their programs.
Yes.
It's
just not cost efficient, and people aren't doing it. So again, we must go back to the source. It's when talk about drink good water, drink rising springs, get as pure as you can.
Buy more natural fibers when possible.
Yeah, I try to buy either bamboo or cotton shirts and slacks, and I've thrown away so much polyester. But you've got to do those things to protect yourself.
Well, and if your city doesn't have a recycling program, it does need to be a priority, and you do need to make some noise where you can. A lot of people don't understand when they recycle, what happens to that material. And for years, the same cargo ships that were bringing us all of our goods were being filled after they were emptied with our garbage, and then they were sent back overseas to be processed. It was cheaper for them to process all of our garbage than for us to process it ourselves.
India, China, mainly China.
They don't want our garbage anymore. I think we've sent them about enough, and they have no desire to fill those ships and bring them back with garbage. And the cities are making the decision that since they can't ship it overseas, it's not cost effective to do recycling here. So they're just stopping some of those programs.
And they're burying most of them in landfills,
Yeah.
which eventually will leach down into the aquifers and on again. Another problem with China, I believe it was China, if I'm wrong, there was an investigative report, and they started following these ships and what happened. Yeah, they unloaded them. Then they went to the other end of an island, and they dumped them back in the ocean. Just cargo ships full. And cruise ships used to be the worst.
Yeah. Just
dump everything
waste.
in the ocean.
Yeah.
So you can't police the globe, and this is why I say it must be at the source. It must not be produced. No gallon containers in plastic. Now, and you'll never get rid of all plastic. Some things you have to have in those containers, some solvent, some things that you just can't put in. It's not cost effective to put in glass, and not a good idea to have a solvent that breaks and goes everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's certain things.
The promise of plastic, I understand. I get why when it was manufactured, we said, oh my God, this is incredible.
Yeah.
All these synthetic fibers, they wick moisture away, they last longer, but you don't get anything for free.
No. It's like Ben in The Graduate when he put his arm around and he said, remember one word, plastics. And at that time, that was it.
Yeah.
That's where everything was going.
And it went that way.
Yeah.
We're living the ramifications of that.
But we must take it out of the environment to the greatest degree we can. And that's what we're talking about. We don't want it in our bodies. You don't want it in your body. And it's one of those things that are stealth that you really don't see when you wash your clothes or when you drink water. And you drink a bottle of water and you say, well, I don't see anything in it. That's how small it is.
In every single water bottle tested. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
That it wasn't just in some brand that's pulling tap water and filtering it. It's all of them. And I made a joke recently. I was at a gas station, and there was no employees at this gas station. Apparently, no one wanted to work that day. But they had all their crates of water sitting out front of the gas station, baking in the sun. And right in the noon heat, just cooking.
There you go.
And you buy that, you think, okay, great, I'll take it home, refrigerate it. It's already off-gassed. There's guaranteed microplastics inside from the day it left the factory before it sat and baked.
And that heat was breaking it down as you looked at it. Yes, that is not a good thing to buy.
No.
I would not do that. But people did buy it.
And stop drinking your car water after it sat for...
Yeah, don't reuse plastic bottles, please. And I used to manage a gym, and people would have the same water bottle. They'd fill it for months.
Yep.
Till it got so soft.
Oh.
And then thinking, is that breaking down?
Yeah.
Well, now I know it was.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I mentioned Rising Springs a few times, and I do want to mention to people that we have a very good interview, which you did